heard that right. Nikon is officially acquiring Red cinema cameras. Waking up this morning, I didn't expect to hear anything interesting in the camera world or anything really of note. But when I heard this, that Nikon, the company that was getting sued by Red, is now acquiring Red, I had to make a video on my thoughts with how Nikon has been slowly positioning themselves as kind of the camera company that is reinventing itself. So let's get started. A few years ago, back in 2022, Red Cinema Cameras actually sued Nikon because they released one particular feature on the Nikon Z9 that actually allowed them to actually infringe upon the patent that Red Cinema Camera had, and this is raw video capabilities. So Nikon released firmware 2.0 for the Nikon Z9, and with that they actually released a firmware for video capabilities to focus on raw capturing capabilities. So for those who don't know what video raw is a lot of cinema cameras basically have this compression algorithm that instead of allowing them to capture, let's say 8-10 bits color of dynamic range, they actually have something called raw capabilities that shoots 12-bit or even 14-bit of dynamic range. It's essentially 2 to the power of 12 or 14 of color, different colors that an image could capture. Why was this a big deal? Well, back in the early 2000s when Red actually founded its company, they focused on raw capabilities, and they had this patent over the camera world. Other camera companies in the world, they had this stranglehold because of this patent. So this patent limited a lot of capabilities, but it gave Red cinema cameras the edge. To be quite honest, it also limited the rest of the world. So anyone who said they had raw capabilities had to pay a fee to use the patent by Red cinema cameras. Why is this important? Well, Nikon has mostly been known as a really high quality photo camera company. They have not been known for their color science in video. Now, with this full-out buying of the subsidiary of Red Cinema Cameras, Nikon could actually now go and compete with other cinema camera companies such as Sony with their high-end cinema cameras, Canon, or even Panasonic with their cinema cameras. And what's interesting is that when you think of cinema cameras, you usually think of 2 to 3 companies, which is ARRI, Panavision, and then Red. A lot of movies on Netflix, Amazon Prime, and even modern movies are shot on Red cinema cameras. And now with Nikon buying Red, that kind of puts them in a competitive advantage, really. With Nikon's color science and lens capabilities that have been really evolving now into more hybrid shooting, with buying Red, that gives them a huge advantage, and this merger of technology will really allow Nikon to improve their, let's say, video features, as well as actually step into the cinema camera. So what does this mean for Red? Well, mainly they've been suing a lot of companies and kind of staggering a lot of the technology in this space. But with this, a few big wins for Red. One, they have the backing of Nikon, which is an amazing company. And 2, they also have the scalability and reliability that Nikon is known for. Yes, Nikon is a little slower to release features, but with their recent, let's say, refreshing of the brand with the mirrorless systems, especially more modern systems like the Nikon Z8, Z9, ZF in this case, the video features have really been improving. And I think Red could really benefit with having that up to scale. And now with Nikon buying Red, they have access to the new Nikon V Raptor X, which I think is an amazing 8K sensor. But now they could bring down that technology, hopefully, to their more prosumer cameras. And I think that's amazing. This whole video has really been focused on why I think a lot of people were kind of making fun of Nikon for a few years. And now with them buying Red, they're stepping up their game to the cinema line and video features, which are hopefully in the next few years are going to trickle down. Great time to be a Nikon user. Their technology is improving, their mirrorless system's really great, and now with this blending of Nikon and Red, I think we can now call this new subsidiary of Nikon, Nikon Red, to make it their cinema line of cameras. And I'm really excited. I think I might start looking into getting a Red camera soon, just to start playing around with the cinema capabilities of Nikon cameras. And I guess that kind of brings me up to the other part of this video, which is I think Nikon has slowly been preparing for this moment. And let me talk to you why. So back in the DSLR days, Nikon was mainly a photo company with some video features sprinkled over. They had their D5s, their Nikon 850s, D850s. They had their other, photo cameras, if you will. But they really didn't up their game until they stepped into the mirrorless world. So they actually upped their game in the video capabilities around this time. But why is this important? Well, the interesting thing is that Nikon, with their Z6, they released something that you had to pay for, which is what they called, I believe it was B-RAW, which allowed certain monitors, such as the DaVinci Resolve monitors, to act as external recorders for the Nikon systems, and they could actually record in B-RAW. Now, I paid for the service for my Z6, and it was okay. It was very limited. It was not as good as, the Sonys and the Canons in the world, or even close to anything interesting. But this partnership with DaVinci Resolve helped bridge Nikon into a new ecosystem of video capabilities. Red has always been kind of a new pinnacle of sharpness cinema capabilities, from the Red Komodo to the Dragon to the V Raptor and all these other well-known YouTubers who shoot with Red. And I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are, that knowing a meme camera company, so to speak, that is Nikon, is now going to compete, if not really drop the mic against these other camera companies, such as Canon, Sony, Panasonic, Arri, even to an extent. I'm curious, where is this going to go? I don't know how it's going to evolve and how this new cinema line for Nikon is going to be, but I'm excited to be a Nikon user. I've been saying this over and over again for the last few years. It's exciting to be a Nikon user. And with the surprise purchase of Red cinema cameras, it's even better time to be a Nikon user. And I'm excited. Hopefully a lot of the great color science from Red comes down to Nikon, as well as those algorithms. And I'm excited. I'm probably going to be testing out a Red soon, just to get a feel for it and see what's hopefully going to be coming down the lines. But anyways, let me know what your thoughts are. If you're a Red shooter, how do you feel about this? If you're a Nikon shooter, how do you feel about this? If you're a Sony and Canon, how do you feel about this? And if anyone shoots extensively with Red, let me know how you feel. This is an interesting new event in the camera world. So anyway, thought I'd make my little thoughts and rant on this. But I'm excited to be a Nikon user. Anyway, stay tuned for more, and until then, catch you guys in the next one.